I think right now it's just hard to look at the Giants and say that's a championship team. They have so many question marks. You try and come up with like a range of how many wins this team can have, and at this point for me, it's like it could be anywhere from like 4 to 10. That's sort of where the Giants are at in my mind. They have that many question marks where if they don't have something stand out in their favor, it could be a disaster. They have the quarterback that you can at least win with, in Eli Manning, and they have a wide receiver who I'm pretty sure is going to be an absolute superstar in this league, and then last year was not a fluke with Odell Beckham. So they have that to work with, but around them, there's just so many question marks. It's hard to pinpoint at this point and say that's a championship team or that's a team that can win this division. Because in my mind, the law of average says if you have 5, 6, 7 starting spots where you're like, they need this to work in their favor, that some of them will work out and some of them won't. So that leaves them with 3, 4 starting spots alone where you're very concerned about what you're going to get from.
Give me your thoughts on Eli. Where is he? Is he still look, I was always a guy who thought Eli was a good player. He won a couple Super Bowls. He can never take that away from him. I was never on the Eli's an elite player bandwagon here. I think he's very clutch, but is he a guy who's on the downside? Where is he still a guy that can take you deep and win you a Super Bowl? Where do you see Eli Manning at this stage of his career?
Well, let's first say Eli Manning throughout his career has never been a great player over 16-game stretch or 16-game season. I mean, that's just he hasn't put it together for a season like that. I mean, he was pretty good last year, 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, one of his better statistical seasons in the first year in this new offense. I don't think he's on the downswing yet. He's 34 years old. He's in the second year of a new offense, coming off a pretty good year, and maybe with his best weapon that he's ever had in Odell Beckham. I could feel pretty confident saying that. At this point, I mean, aside from Plaxico, it's not like he was blessed with these amazing weapons around him. So, and we know that didn't last too long, the Plaxico thing. But so I think Eli he has potential to have a good year. Everything is sort of pointing in the right direction for him. Look, he's healthy. His arm. He's done a lot of work. He did a lot of baseball style work in the off season to sort of improve his arm strength. So his arm strength looks pretty good. It hasn't deteriorated like his brothers did, but his brothers obviously for a different reason with the neck injury. So he's got a second year in a new offense. He's got some weapons around him. If Victor Cruz can get back, big if, by the way, if Victor Cruz can get back to anywhere near the player he once was, if he has Cruz and Beckham and then Ruben Randall as his third receiver, Shane Vereen coming out of the backfield, and a decent receiving tight end Larry Donnell, there's definitely some weapons to work with. He could be in for a good year.
Jordan Ranaan on the Giants here, NJ.com, and the Giants, most people picking them third in the East. You talk about a big if with Victor Cruz. What is your...
When you say that, you just can't you gloss over that comment. We knew we'd have to address that,
Well, I agree with you, but bigger than that, and look, there's a good chance that Victor Cruz could be out the first couple of weeks, I would assume. It seems that he did not practice today either. But he hasn't done any running in over 3 weeks now. Oof, so. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's because of his calf, not the knee.
Right, exactly. This is a different injury. But where's JPP? I mean, is he going to play this year at all?
Yes, I believe he will play at some point this year. It seems that way. So it's not going to be for a while, and it depends. I guess it depends. You know what? I shouldn't say that definitively. It depends sort of where this team is headed. If it's a total disaster and they're 1-6, JPP's come back ready to play, are they really going to want to pay him? What is it? $14.8 million prorated over the final, 8-9 games of the year. They're really going to want to pay him $9 million for a team that's basically headed nowhere, and that they know they can't. He's not going to be JPP of old. That he's going to have to be limited in a way. First of all, he's missing a finger. He's probably going to have to play with it wrapped. He thinks he could play now. That's what it basically boils down to. The Giants do not. He thinks he could play basically with a club, a wrap, some sort of protective thing on the hand. I don't think the Giants are not comfortable with him at that point playing. So he's home. He's going to train some more. Hopefully the hand heals to the point where they can come back and play. And Tom Coughlin, that's the day they do expect him back, and that's sort of the feeling that I'm getting is at some point, he will be able to return. At what level of effectiveness, I don't think anybody possibly knows that.
No. Jordan, what's their running game look like? I know they drafted the kid Hy Williams last year. Doesn't seem like they have a lot of faith in him.
Yeah, Williams is actually a fourth-round pick. He was a Heisman in that Heisman race, but he was still only a fourth-round pick. He wasn't, they're all right with him.
Well, that's where you draft running backs nowadays, right? You get them in the third and fourth round.
That is true. There is, someone drafted Todd Gurley 12th this year.
That's true.
But
that's the first time that's happened in a long time.
Yeah, but that's when you're supremely talented and superior to everybody else. I think Andre Williams has some skills they'll use, but he's part of a mix. They're gonna really rotate those running backs. You're going to see Rashad Jennings. He's going to be their primary ball carrier. You're going to see Andre Williams. He's going to be sporadically thrown in there. He'll be Rashad Jennings' insurance because Rashad Jennings throughout his career has been unable to stay healthy. And then Shane Vereen will hold that role as the guy as passing down kind of guys. I won't say third down because teams pass so much nowadays. It's passing down and third down running backs are not the same anymore. So Shane Vereen will be sprinkled in there a lot, especially as a pass receiver out of the backfield. And they're going to utilize their different skill sets from those three guys. I mean, Williams has good size and speed. Jennings is a good one-cut runner, and Vereen is that pass receiver out of the backfield. So, and you know what? Their offensive line, for as many problems as it does have, they have five guys that are basically playing positions that they did not play with last year for the New York Giants. Either they're new or they were playing different positions for the Giants last year. All five guys. So they definitely have their concerns with the line, but I think it should be improved in the run game. I mean, they drafted Eric Flowers in the first round. That should be his strength this year as a run defender. He's sort of known as a mauler type guy. Might have his growing pains in regards to pass blocking. Jeff Schwartz, he's a free agent signing they signed last year. His strength also, run blocker. He didn't play last year because of he played 6 quarters because of injuries. So they should be a better team as a run blocking unit, and that should help their running game. So I think their running game, look, this isn't going to be one of the best running games attacks in the league. This is going to be a pass-first team, especially with Beckham, Eli, and the offense that they run. So I think they can still be, but as long as they can get to the middle of the pack. Last year, I think they were 30th in the league in rushing. That's just not going to get it done.
We're talking with Jordan Ranaan, NJ.com. He covers the Giants, who take on Dallas to open up the season. John Beeson going to be ready?
I think John Beeson should be ready. He's been practicing this week. He was officially limited today, but I saw him out of practice a little bit in the last week or so, and he's been looking to be running pretty good. So I kind of would expect expect him back there, and that's important because he's the leader of the defense.
What's Coughlin's deal? I mean, is he can write his own way out of there? Is he under fire at all?
I mean, not under fire, but I think everyone kind of understands the situation that the owner stood up there at the end of last year and sort of said, yep, it's win or else next, going into this offseason, going into 2015. So I think everyone kind of understands the situation. Look, if you miss the playoffs 4 straight years, and you're 70 years old as the head coach, I think it's going to be tough to keep your job. I know I don't care how many Super Bowls you won. At some time, there's a point where it's necessary to have change, and whether it's Tom Coughlin's fault, I don't even know if that's going to really matter. I mean, it's just going to reach the point probably if you miss the playoffs for a 4th straight year, and you have a 70-year-old coach who's been there now for since 2004, so it'll be 12 going into 12 seasons. I think that the pressure is on for him this year. They have to make the playoffs.
All right, there's a look at the Giants. They take on the Cowboys in the NFC East. Who is that team? Is it the Eagles? Is it the Cowboys? Or is it the Giants? Obviously, the Redskins seem like they're far ways off.
The Redskins.
I have them ranked. Where did I have them? The 4th worst team in the league.
You have them ranked in the dumpster fire.
They are, yes. In my ugly 5, they are number 4 of the ugly 5. All right, Jordan Ranaan, NJ.com. There are the New York Football Giants. Thanks, Jordan.
Anytime. You know it. I got you guys.